first time in 2009, World Championship Boxing is back on the air. We got a brand new look and a captivating show for you tonight from a jam-packed Staples Center with a record crowd in Los Angeles. Antonio Margarito, widely regarded as the best welterweight in the world, takes on Shane Mosley, returning to the site of his greatest night, a thrilling split decision victory over Oscar De La Hoya nearly 10 years ago. Since losing to Paul Williams in July of 2007, Antonio Margarito has been on a tear, culminating in 2008 with his bruising Fight of the Year candidate 11th round TKO over Miguel Cotto. This is Margarito's first bout since then, taking on a future boxing Hall of Famer. Shane Mosley has had a career resurrection since losses to Winky Wright and Vernon Forrest. In Mosley's last fight, he outlasted Ricardo Mayorga at 154 pounds. But tonight, in moving back down to 147, Mosley believes he's at his optimal fighting weight. We'll see if it's enough against Margarito about 15 minutes from now. And a look at a crowd of 20,820, which breaks the record for Staples Center. Bigger than any Laker crowd, bigger than any rock and roll or country music or R&B crowd, bigger than any political crowd. The largest crowd ever here. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. We bring you to the summit of the welterweight division tonight to see one of the genuine superstar fighters of last year, Antonio Margarito, trying to solidify his position of supremacy in that division against Shane Mosley, one of the great veterans of the sport. Quickly, let's take a look at the glitterati of the welterweight division, maybe the most loaded in boxing. The three belt holders, Margarito, Andre Berto, whom you saw barely winning a title defense against Luis Collazo last week, and Joshua Clottey, and on the same page with them in the discussion for top welterweight in the world, Shane Mosley coming off his knockout victory over Ricardo Mayorga, and Miguel Cotto, who was unbeaten before being defrocked last July by Margarito. And just to gild the lily on this division and show you how loaded it can be, Manny Pacquiao, in his annihilation of Oscar De La Hoya in December, was fighting as a welterweight. Paul Williams, who beat Margarito 2 years ago, has now moved up. In his next fight, he'll fight as a middleweight, but his promoters insist he can still come back down and fight as a 6'2", 147-pound fighter. And Floyd Mayweather, currently retired from his perch as the previous #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. If Floyd Mayweather were to choose to return to boxing, the expectation is it is most likely he would return as a welterweight. What a weight class. Let's turn to HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant for more on that. Larry, Antonio Margarito proved so much in his beatdown of Miguel Cotto last summer that he is, shockingly to some, an overwhelming 4-to-1 betting favorite to win this fight. Is he that good?
He's that strong, he's that tough, but I don't think anybody is that good. The odds are a reflection of the euphoria his fans felt after that balls-to-the-wall comeback victory over Cotto. So here we are in Margaritaville. His fans feel a special connection to Margarito because he is one of them. He turned pro at the age of 15 to support his then-girlfriend, now wife's, lifestyle, which included her 3 very small brothers. He's one of those men who, no matter what you throw at him, in or out of the ring, he just keeps coming.
Indeed, and he held firm for an interview visit from Larry Merchant to Margarito's dressing room just a little bit less than an hour ago.
Tony, you've watched Shane Mosley for many years. What are your thoughts as a fighter watching him?
Bueno, es un boxeador con bastante experiencia, un boxeador que ha peleado con lo mejor y me tengo que cuidar de cualquier golpe de él.
He's a great boxer, a boxer with lots of experience, and I have to be careful with any of his punches.
How do you approach him as compared to Cotto? Do you have to change anything you do?
Bueno, tuvimos los sparring adecuados, tuvimos la manopla adecuada. Siempre trato de llegar más del 100%, nomás cambiamos en el estilo porque es diferente estilo.
We did the correct sparring, we did the correct mitt work, we tried to be more aggressive. The only thing we tried to change a little bit is to adapt it to Shane Mosley because it's a little bit of a different style.
How?
¿Cómo así?
Bueno, es que Mosley es un poco más rápido, countea más y Cotto se faja un poco más. Yo creo que Mosley, para mí, yo pienso que va a querer boxear.
Mosley is a bit faster, he counters a bit better. Cotto likes to brawl a little bit more, and I think Mosley will like to box tonight.
You've had such a tremendous response to your victory over Cotto. Do you feel a responsibility now that you're riding that wave of popularity?
Bueno, sí, en verdad mucha gente me reconoce. Estoy muy contento porque mucha gente viene a apoyarme aquí y no les tengo que quedar mal. Como siempre ha brindado para todos ellos y en verdad hay cambio para rato.
Well, truthfully, a lot of people know me because of that fight. A lot of people are following me now, and a lot of people are out here giving me hopes. But obviously, we need to prepare, and we need to. This will be a victory for my public and for the long haul, and to improve the career.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Back live at ringside, our Larry Merchant has already underlined for you the extreme eminence of the sport of Antonio Margarito right at this moment. Let's see how he got it. And as we look back at what happened last January 26th in Las Vegas between Margarito and the then unbeaten Miguel Cotto of Puerto Rico, we'll also bring in our World Championship boxing ringside expert Emmanuel Stewart becoming on the action. Cotto came into the fight as a favorite, regarded at that moment in the wake of Mayweather's retirement as perhaps the best clinical boxer in the world. And in the early rounds, Larry, he seemed to be showing exactly that, landing the punches he wanted to land.
But as it turned out, he gave a blueprint of how not to fight Cotto. Trying to
Margarito, you mean?
Margarito. Trying to get away from him and then going to the ropes like this. You can be assured that is not how Mosley will fight him.
And in the 11th round, Emmanuel, Cotto, about as valiant as any fighter in the sport, actually twice took a knee to bring an end to the combat.
And that was very significant, not necessarily that he would just hit one a good punch. It was a way of mentally where he had surrendered and given up in the fight. Margarito has the ability to do that to opponents. Simply because he's physically strong, not necessarily a very flashy fighter, but very, very effective through his consistency and utilizing his strength and a variety of punches.
Margarito's stunning success against Miguel Cotto presents a very pertinent question for tonight. Because in November of 2007, Cotto and Shane Mosley fought an extremely even battle in Madison Square Garden in New York, won by Cotto. And one thing we saw in that fight, Emmanuel, is that Cotto and Mosley are about the same size. Maybe, if anything, Miguel's a little bit bigger and stronger. They fight in a fairly similar style. Maybe Miguel has just a little bit more power. There isn't a whole lot of difference between Cotto and Shane Mosley, which brings up the question, why would this fight be any different than what happened last July?
That's a good question. First of all, as you said, there is similarity physically in the guys. There's a little difference, you know. I think Cotto was a little bit of a better puncher. I think that Mosley is a little faster, but ultimately the bottom line is still, I think the fact that Margarito is still a very big physical fighter is still going to end up being his physical strength, I believe, going down the stretch. But it's going to be a little different because Mosley has learned a lot from watching the experience of Cotto when he lost to Margarito, so it'll be a little bit different.
But there are many